I think one of the essential skills of being a good coach is listening. And this is a skill that is not taught in school. We don't learn it on home, unfortunately, and we don't learn it at work. Listening is not hearing the words that are spoken.
That's like my favorite quote that you say. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Listening is, I thought I was being original. Listening is not about hearing the words that are spoken. It's not being able to parrot back what somebody said to you. Listening is listening for meaning, right? You are a good listener. The test for being a good listener is if the other person feels heard, right?
Say that again.
Right?
Write that down.
So I mean, we've all had, we just take it out of the context of business, right? We've all had an argument or wanted to share our feelings with a friend or a loved one, right? Spouse, girlfriend, boyfriend. You're sitting on the couch and you say, something's bugging you, and you say, can I just tell you something that's bugging me? And they respond by trying to fix it. Or they respond by pointing out the facts that may or may not align with how you feel, right? Well, that's impossible because this is what happened. And what they're missing is you're not looking for them to compare the facts of what's being said. You just want to feel heard. You just want somebody to go, oh my God, that's really hard. Yeah, I hear it. I hear that. Thank you for sharing that with me. That must be difficult. Thank you, that's all I needed, right? I'll give you a very funny example of bad listening. So I used to date a girl who's an air traffic controller. Air traffic controllers are a breed unto themselves, and it's only about the facts. And I woke up one morning, I had something in my eye, and I couldn't open my eye, it was hurting. And I'm like flushing it out with water, and nothing's working. And I couldn't even open my eye, and I have her come, I'm like, come here. I'm like, look in my eye, do you see anything? Do you see anything? And she looks in, she goes like this, and she goes, there's nothing there, and then walks away. And I eventually, whatever it was, I eventually was okay, and I went up to her, and I was like, WTF, right? I'm like, I had something in my eye, you just walked away. And she's like, there was nothing there, so what do you want me to do? I was like, a little sympathy? She's like, well, that's not going to get anything out of your eye. Listening is standing by my side while I'm flushing it out with water and go, oh my God, that must hurt so much. Yeah, it does, thank you, right? That's listening. And if somebody can learn to listen, and now this is where it gets actionable. This is not me just waxing philosophical and telling funny stories about listening. My friend Will Godera, how many of you are restaurant people? Have you ever heard of 11 Madison Park? So at some point in New York City, 11 Madison Park was the best restaurant in the world, right? Ranked number 1. And Will believes in this, he was the former owner, he believes in this concept of unreasonable hospitality, which is going to what good service is and then going way, way, way beyond. And one of the core tenets of unreasonable hospitality is learning to listen. And I'll give you an example that directly impacts your business. Most agents don't listen. And I'll give you an example. What do you do for your clients after they close on a home, right? It's very common. We've all bought a home too, right? Which is you walk into this new home that you just bought as a buyer, and there's a bottle of champagne in the fridge. There's a basket of flowers on the dining room table. The same basket of flowers that you gave to every other client, the same bottle of champagne that you gave to every client. Generic. I'm a number. It's just rote. But if you were listening, while they were looking at all those homes, and they saw this one little room that was too small to make a bedroom, it was just sort of a stupid little nook that nobody really understood why that room existed in the house, and your client walked in and goes, oh, I could make this my yoga room, and that's the house they bought. Instead of putting a bottle of champagne in the house, this is what Will talks about, instead of putting a bottle of champagne in the fridge, why not put a yoga mat in that room with a little note that says, it's perfect, right? That's called listening. And every single time you go out with clients, they are telling you things. They're telling you stories. They're waxing philosophical. They're telling you what they don't like and what they do like. But the problem is you're listening to whether they like big windows. You're listening to whether they like the view. You're listening to whether they have 2 cars and they need 3 cars or whatever it is. But you're not listening to the reasons why.
The why.
You're not listening for the meaning. And those are the little notes you want to make that make someone feel seen and make someone feel heard. A finite mindset is everything is about this transaction, this listing. An infinite mindset is I may win or lose this game. I may win or lose this transaction, and there'll be another one, and another one, and another one, and another one. And the goal is not to win this one. The goal is to be better and better and better and better and better. And what happens is you win more often.
Yeah.
So I
See, and where I struggle with that, honestly, is I want to crush it every time.
yeah, of course.
Every time.
You're a highly competitive A-type personality. I get it.
Yeah.
But if that's all you do, you're not going to be in the game for very long.
I know. I've been in it a long time.
But this
so
is my
I've figured
point.
it out.
In the infinite game, the infinite mindset is about having the strength, the will and the resources. Which means will is I really still enjoy this industry, and the resources is I got the money to stay in the game. If you run out of will, you run out of resources, you find a different line of work, right? The goal is not to win every game. The goal is to stay in the game as long as possible, and you're more likely to stay in the game as long as possible if you're enjoying it and if you're making money. So, like I said, think of those agents who are better than you, whether they're better marketers or better salesperson, or they get more recommendations. And again, you don't have to like them, but you have to thank them and study them and learn what they're doing, as I said, because their strengths are revealing to you your weaknesses. And sometimes partner with them because you're actually stronger together. But hating them is stupid.
Right.
All it does is make you focus on them rather than focus on yourself. All it does is make you focus and sit around with your friends and be like, but they don't do this, and well, you're not doing any of that either, you know? So it puts all your focus in all the wrong places. It's like, you know what it's like, if any skiers out there, if you ski through trees, every skier knows this. If you say, don't hit a tree, don't hit a tree, don't hit a tree, you hit a tree because all you're doing is looking at trees. Where when you're skiing through trees and you say, follow the path, follow the path, follow the path, you don't hit a tree because you're only looking at the path. So your mindset is if all you're doing is focusing on them, then you're hitting trees is what you're doing. You're focusing on all the things that make you weak rather than focusing on all the things that make you better.